Hey friends, welcome to Gardening with Creekside. Today we are going to be here on the patio doing a little pruning. Tis the season here in North Carolina, zone 8A. We are in early mid-July, and that is kind of the theme of the season here, is that we are maintaining our annuals, perennials, shrubs, mostly by pruning, right? Pruning and of course watering. I know a lot of us have been, it's feast or famine with the rain, right? Either we get way too much and we flood, hello early May, or it goes absolutely bone dry and we get no water. So the main things that I have been doing in my garden right now are watering, keep them alive people, and then pruning. Pruning will actually help your plants, whether it is an annual, a perennial, or a shrub, survive especially the heat and the humidity of the summer. So that is what I'm going to do today. A little bit of maintenance. I thought maybe you would like to join me in case that you have some of these same plants or very similar plants and need a little bit of knowledge, a little bit of encouragement, and a little bit of like, you can do this, go for it. So what we're going to do is, I'm really like a kid in a candy store because it is slightly drier today. We have been having very high temperatures, upper 90s with feels like 107, 108. Dew point has been like 74. It has been insane. Even at night, it doesn't drop. But this morning, I dare say it is a little drier. There's a little bit of a breeze going on, and I just feel invigorated and ready to go. So we're going to tackle this. The two main things, because like I said, I'm a kid in a candy store with the cooler weather and I get a little distracted. So I'm really going to keep focused. The two areas that we're first going to focus on are the two urns. These have this is going to be the Angel Face White Angelonia for 2025 from Proven Winners. And you can see that they're not blooming quite as well as they previously were. And they're getting a little strung out because we have had some rain and a little bit of wind, and so they're starting to get a little floppy on the side. So I'm going to give them a nice little prune, so that way it'll encourage them to thicken up, straighten up, and put on some more blooms. And I have two of those urns that planted the exact same, so I will show you step by step how to maintain them, how to encourage new growth. And then next on the list is my Incredible hedge. Behind the wall, we have 5 Incredible hydrangeas from Proven Winners planted here. They are gorgeous, right? These are the improved version of an Annabelle. Very strong, sturdy stems, right? You can see I just have one that looks a little whopper-jawed, as I say. But everybody else is standing up nice and tall. And we've had some rain here. We've had some good thunderstorms. And so I want to do a little bit of an experiment because Incredibles are a smooth hydrangea. And so the reason that we need to know that is because they bloom on new growth. There are just a few new blooms here. You can tell just by the color, a nice creamy white, as opposed to one that's a little bit more limey and has a little bit of brown in it. What I want to do is I'm going to come through here and I am going to cut off all of my flowers. Yes, I am. I'm going to give some of you heart attacks and you're going to be like, what are you doing? Well, here in North Carolina, we have such an incredibly long growing season and these bloom on new growth. The goal, the prayer, the hope is that I'm going to give them a light prune. I'm not going to whack these hydrangeas back. A very light prune. I'm going to fertilize them. They're on drip irrigation. We have been getting a little bit more rain, so that's always helpful. That I will get a beautiful new flush of flowers this fall. That is the goal. So I have always wanted to try this, and so this year is the year that we're going to do it. So we're pruning them back in the hopes of that come September, October, these will be covered once again completely in brand new gorgeous flowers. So I'm going to show you exactly how we do that and give you some updates on while we're doing that, because I may forget to do that. Speaking of giving you people a heart attack, a couple weeks ago we were here and did some pruning on the annuals. First of all, we pruned the Cleomes. These were massive. This is Senorita Rosalita. They were huge. I mean, they were like, whoosh, right? And so I whacked them back. Look, they have flushed out with new growth, and we are starting to get some flowers. Now, are they full flowers? No, it takes a little bit of time, y'all. But look at that nice pretty foliage. Yes, there is some sun scald on the leaves that were here because they had been hidden and then they went into full sun. So if yours do that, don't worry, y'all. The plants are tough. Look at the beautiful new foliage. It will completely cover this plant really, really soon. So they're flushing out, they're thickening up, they're filling in, and they will be just fine. I do this to extend my season, right? I don't want to get to September and because the plants are still growing, I don't want them to look terrible and leggy and thin and spindly and nasty. I'm trying to maintain gorgeous gardens throughout the season. That requires a little bit of work. Also, I pruned back the Supertunia Saffron Finch. Again, a light prune. And look, y'all, I had cut it completely off of the wall. And look, it's already back on the wall, right? But it's not growing into, thank goodness, that pruning helped where they're not going into my gardenias and they're not going into my roses, and then they're going away from the boxwood. So maintaining a little bit of those annuals makes a huge difference. They keep them gorgeous. So that is the goal for today, is to do those main two plants. And trust me, there's tons of other things. If the weather cooperates and I'm not dying of a heat stroke, we'll do those too. Like I've got lavender I can prune, I've got Tyrinia I can prune, more Angelonia that I can prune. So there's tons of things. So we're just gonna get to it, and let me show you step by step exactly how to do it. So we take the fear out of pruning, because trust me, pruning is a good thing in the garden. All right, my friends, so the sun is, she's coming out in all her glory, so we're just gonna work with it. All right, Angelonia, very heat tolerant, very tolerant of our humidity, not necessarily drought tolerant. Heat tolerant, drought tolerant, two different things. Hopefully those two coincide in a plant, but not always. Now, excuse me, this is on drip irrigation. So I have drip irrigation in here, but because of our excessive heat that we've been having and the fact that it is a container and it's not, doesn't have as much soil available to it as if it were in the garden, these dried out 2 times on me. So I need probably to increase my water. But the only thing is, when I increase the water on the containers, that also increases water in the landscape, and those have 2 different needs. It's just a logistical issue. So that's the main reason why they stopped blooming, is because they dried out. Now, yes, they bounced back and are looking great, but I need to clean the plants up, encourage more tight growth and new blooms. So what we're gonna do, you got your Felcos, right? You got your pruners. I like number 2, it just fits in my hand well. Before I did this, I always, because I'm doing so much pruning right now, is that I clean them to get all the sap off. When I was doing the Amsonia in the berm, I sharpened them and then I greased them up. So they are good to go. I'm gonna be a little bit more precise when I prune this, as opposed to like the Cleome that I just gathered up and just cut off. If you can go above 2 leaf nodes, that would be desirable. Now, if you have a mass of Angelonia somewhere and you simply just don't have the time to go through each little individual, stem and plant and cut right above the 2 leaf nodes, well, then that is okay. Do not worry about it. The plants will be just fine. So we're going to give it a nice little prune. I can already tell back here inside where the sun's reaching down that I've got new growth. So new growth is coming. I'm going to leave that alone. I'm really focusing on, let me show you here. I'm really focusing on these long pieces that have already bloomed and they just have a little bit of blooms yet left. Now, am I cutting some flowers off? Yes, I am. That's okay. I'm thinking long term. You want to think long term when you're in your garden. Now, would you do this right before maybe you have a big event? Probably not. So for me, all of our events are over. We had the signature experience. They were glorious during that time. I had July 4th, we had family back here, they were fine, you know, but we're going into a season of things are a little bit slower. Jerry and I are actually gonna be doing some traveling for work, so we're not gonna be here. So that's the perfect time to do it. If you're not looking at it, you know, go ahead and prune it back. It is not a big deal. So what I'm gonna do is go ahead and clean the rest of this up, and then I'm gonna show you the next step to ensure that you get beautiful blooms for the rest of the season. Okay, easy as that. Prune back. I did not do this massive severe cut. If you want to, you can. The plant will absolutely handle it. You don't have to. All right, next step. I use the Proven Winners Premium Continuous Release Plant Food, right? This is vital, and it is it's one of my best partners in the garden for my annuals because, full disclosure, I am not very good at water-soluble fertilizer. Y'all, I just can't get it together. Yes, I know the plants would absolutely be stunning if I watered them with water-soluble fertilizer once a week. I get it, I know. I just can't get it together. Sorry, I just can't. So this is why I use this, because this is a continuous release. It is a time release fertilizer. So when I can't get out here and do water soluble fertilizer, this is still feeding the plants. It is released by temperature. So this time of year, man, it is chunking out the food. So it gives the plants a continuous release of food when you just can't get out there and do water soluble fertilizer. So it does come with a shaker top, like you can pop the top and just shake it, or it comes with a little scoop. I don't particularly, like, I just shake it in there. I'm not like super worried about burning the plants. That's the beautiful thing about slow release fertilizer, is that you really don't have the risk of burning the plants. Now, if you dump the whole container on here, well then yeah, I guess you would burn the plants. But I have never, ever, ever had an issue of burning my plants with the continuous release fertilizer. Next step to help, because I do have a little bit of a lip of a room right here from where the soil is to where the top of the container is, I'm going to come through and I'm going to actually add a little bit of compost to the top of the soil. Now, yes, I added the compost there when I planted these angel face whites, but I'm going to come in and just add in just a little bit extra. Why am I doing that? Well, two reasons. One, the main reason is it's going to help me retain more moisture in the plants, right? So in the soil, it's going to retain more moisture, which is this time of year is exactly what I need. I need all the help I can get with keeping these things with even moisture. Secondly, it's going to feed the plants a nice slow release of food, because compost is a natural food for the plants. So every time it rains, as this breaks down, it is going to drip down, leach down into the soil, into the roots of the angel face whites, and give them a nice shot of slow release food. Makes a huge difference top dressing your containers with a high quality compost like Land and Sea. So I am going to water these, but first what I'm going to do, I'm going to finish everything. Watering will be the last thing I do. So I'm going to go ahead and go over to the next one, get that one done, and then we're going to get the Incrediballs, because yes, it's lovely in the shade, but the sun's coming up and it's starting to get a little toasty here. So we're moving with purpose in the sun here in July. All right, my friends, so the angel face white angelonia has been pruned, it has been fertilized, and it has been top dressed with some land and sea. This way you can see, no, I did not completely butcher it. Did I cut all the flowers off? Why, yes, I did. Am I upset about that? No, not really, because I know it's going to be even prettier when it starts to flower again. And like I left these two right here, these are, you know, new shoots, and they've got buds on them. So it will not be long at all before these begin flowering again. I get asked a lot about what I use for my little container. I get these from Gardener Supply, y'all. They are great. They're like a canvas. They have a hard bottom. They collapse and you can like snap them shut. They have a little top, so if you need to cinch up the top, you certainly can. I go through these, like I have to replace them about once a year because we just use them all the time. But you can go to Gardener Supply and look for those. No affiliation whatsoever, just passing on a little trick and tip to my sweet friends. And then here is the second one. You can see here again, there are buds right here. We're gonna have flowers probably by the end of this week on this plant. All of this because the wind had come, I guess, in some rain and had to push them kind of down. That's the bad thing about the angelonia is when they get tall, if you get some wind or storms, it can kind of lay them down. So it had kind of pushed all these flowers this way, but looking in here, there's all new growth right here already. And so this will shoot up and begin flowering very soon. Now what we're going to do is we're going to move over here to the Incrediballs. Now the Incrediballs, I am going to be a little bit more precise exactly on my pruning. I am not trying to reduce the size of the plant. I just want to encourage new growth. So let's see if we can come over here and get an idea. So I kind of spotted this from afar. So here we have, right, a nice shoot. They're all standing up. This is an older bloom, obviously, right? It's thin, it's got a little brown in there. It's more of a limey green than a pure white. Now, if you track with me all the way down, you could cut it right here, right? You absolutely could. But I see right here, there are some little buds already starting to come out. These are those little leaf nodes, right? So I'm going to take my clippers and I am going to cut right here, because what's going to happen is where those little leaf nodes are, they're going to branch out and give me new growth. New growth on smooth hydrangeas equals flowers. So I am going to cut every single bloom off of these plants. I'm gonna do it. I sure am. The worst thing that happens is that I lose these old flowers and it doesn't rebloom. The best thing that happens is I get fresh new flowers later on this fall. That is the goal. So I am just gonna go through it, and then when it comes to fertilize, I'm gonna show you what I'm going to use and why I'm gonna use it and give you all the good details about that. My friends, we got all of the Incrediballs have been pruned back. The only thing that I would say to you as far as advice on pruning, if you're worried about pruning, is one, cut off less than you think you might need. You can always cut more off the plant if you didn't cut enough, but you can't add the plant back once you cut, too much. It's like hair, right? It's better to cut a little bit at a time instead of cutting it way too much and then realizing afterwards, oh no, I've cut too much. So just do a little bit if you're nervous, and then keep the overall shape of the plant right? You don't want one rogue, really tall limb and then some that are cut back short. As a general rule, when you look at the plant, it should have a nice shape. And then there you go. Now, what we're going to do now is to go ahead and fertilize the Incrediballs. Spring Meadow Nursery is the home of the Proven Winners Color Choice shrubs. So I figure, you know, they are the breeders, the developers, the growers of these amazing shrubs. So I'm just going to take their advice. Their advice for your hydrangeas is to use a slow release fertilizer, even more geared towards roses, because this is a woody shrub that produces flowers. Much like a rose, it has kind of those same nutritional needs. So I use rose tone. If you have plant tone, great, go for it. Use plant tone. And so what we're going to do is, because these are a good size, and full disclosure, I only have so much of a bag left because I'm just going to be lazy and not go over there and get a fresh bag. I can finish up this bag. I'm going to make this bag go for these 5 hydrangeas. Now, you can absolutely go ahead and pull back the mulch. That would be the preferred way to do it, is pull back the mulch, sprinkle this around the base, and then put the mulch back on top, and then go ahead and water. I might do that. I think I can get in there pretty easy. And so what I'll do that. I'll go ahead and pull the mulch back, sprinkle a little bit, and then put the mulch back, and then we're going to come and water. Now, remember how I told you with the Angelonia that if you didn't want to be precise, you could just go in there and grab it up like a ponytail and whack it? Well, that is what I did with the Angelonia. This is the Angel Face Wedgwood Pink that is below me. It too is a new introduction for 2025 from Proven Winners, and it was getting a little long. It was kind of starting to splay open, much like the other white Angelonia. So I literally just gathered it up and just cut it back. What I'm going to do, take that Proven Winners continuous release fertilizer, and I am literally, y'all, going to open the top, and I'm going to shake around just like that. And that is it. Then when we water, we'll come back and hit it with some water. Now, I am going to go ahead, and after I sprinkle that, it's what I call zhuzhing the plant, right? You just kind of shake the plant a little bit with your hand to make sure that any fertilizer that got stuck to the foliage of the plant just drops to the ground. Again, if you wanted to pull the mulch back and put it in, you absolutely could. If that's your personality where you want to be super, super precise, great, no problem. If you're like me, you're hot, you're tired, you just want to get the job done, shake and move on, my friends. Friends, so pretty much today's project is done. All the hard work has been done. So we have pruned back the Angelonia, we have fertilized, we've put a compost down, we have pruned the Incrediball hydrangeas, we have gotten them fertilized, and we have gotten them watered. So now basically we just sit back and wait. Now you might notice right there are 2 beautiful, gorgeous, pure white flowers of those Incrediballs. Those are 2 fresh blooms that are just beautiful. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wait until this evening when the temperatures go down, or just wait until first thing tomorrow morning when it's nice and cool. I'm going to cut them, put them in a vase, and enjoy them. If I were to cut them right now in this heat and humidity, they would probably just go bleep and just get all limpy on me. So I'm going to save those for a vase. That is why they are sitting there. So don't worry, they're going to get pruned, but they're also going to be enjoyed indoors. Now, I do want to show you one last thing. There are tons of things that I could show you, but y'all, it is just that sun came up, and while there is a lovely breeze, the humidity is just cranking today. So dew point is up, humidity is up. We've got heat advisories just nonstop around here. But I want to show you how to prune your lavender. So you know I'm a huge fan of Phenomenal Lavender. It is the only lavender that has successfully come back year after year for me and produced those gorgeous traditional lavender flowers that we all love and adore. It is on the end of its bloom cycle, and I've got part of the plant that has some dead growth in it. So I'm going to prune it back. I'm going to show you how I do that, and then we will be done for today's projects. So let's look at how do we prune lavender. Here's my phenomenal lavender. So what I'm going to do is, it is at its end of bloom cycle, right? There are just a very few little flowers left on it. We have enjoyed it. The fragrance has been heavenly. The pollinators have enjoyed it immensely. So now is the time to prune it back. So what we're gonna do is basically you're just, again, grab it up like a ponytail, y'all, and just go in there and cut. Have you noticed a theme here lately with pruning? You do not have to be super precise, especially on your perennials. Typically, they can just be grabbed up, held onto, and cut them back. Now, for whatever reason, I do have part of this plant has died, and so it's on this other side. I don't know. This is not specifically on irrigation. Lavender likes it dry, so that shouldn't have been, you know, too much of a problem that it needs irrigation. Maybe it got too much water, you know, that's the thing. It didn't get enough or it got too much. Those are probably the main odds here. So what we're gonna do is, first I'm gonna be able to get in here and see exactly what I've got. And then I'm just gonna go in and trim out as much as I possibly can, and we're gonna see what's going on. So if you wanna know if your plant, if the stem still has growth or life in it, when you look inside the stem right here, if it's green, then it's alive. If it's brown like this, then it's dead. So basically you can just cut back until you hit green. And if you don't hit green, well then there you go. Interestingly enough, it seems to be dying from the inside. So maybe that just means it needs a good pruning. Last year, I did not prune it. Life just happened and I didn't get it pruned. So, you know, again, pruning's a good thing. And sometimes maybe you just don't really know why a plant's dying or doing what it's doing, and that's gardening and experimenting and figuring it out. So I'm just gonna get this pruned up and then I'll do a quick little walkthrough of the whole thing. Brent and I are hanging out here in the shade just for a minute to get a little recovery here before we just look at everything. It feels good to get this stuff done, right? So I know that it is hot. It is, I mean, 'tis the season, right? It is July and it is hot. So pick your battles, pick your time of the day when you can get out there in the garden. Typically for us, that's gonna be extremely early in the morning. And you know, and just get something done. If you just pull 2 weeds, just pull 2 weeds. Little things here and there make a big difference in the long run. But I really wanted to try this as far as cutting back the Incrediballs to see if I will get a beautiful flush of flowers again in the fall. Technically, by all odds and all accounts, I should. So we're just gonna keep our fingers crossed and hope that that works. Consistent water on them because they are on drip, so that certainly will help. And my Incrediballs are in full sun, like sun up to sundown, they are in the sun. I don't think they would perform nearly as well if they weren't on irrigation, being in these full sun conditions. If you're not on irrigation, then I would say, if you're in the south like I am, give them morning sun and then give them a break in the afternoon. That will certainly help the plant as you go into like July and August. So just as a quick little recap here, you can see as I stand in the shade what everything looks like. And yes, I did lose flowers, right? I lost the flowers off of the angel face whites in the containers. I lost my flowers off of my Incrediballs, and then the Wedgwood pinks down there in the ground. And that is okay. I am thinking long term. Plus, I have lots of other beautiful flowers surrounding me that kind of make up for that. Those little lime punches, y'all, are just coming into all of their glory. This, if you had to press me and ask me what my favorite hydrangea is, it probably would be these little lime punches. Those are the two on the outside. That is pufferfish there in the middle. They're just phenomenal plants, strong, sturdy, love them. And then you can't, I mean, the hibiscus, right? It is hibiscus season for sure. We have got lilac crush here, and then there in the back is Valentine's crush, and they are doing great. The, yeah, so I don't know, we'll see. This is my problem. This is what drives Jerry crazy is I say, okay, I'm gonna do this, and then I wanna go, well, let's just do one more thing. I might, just depends on how I feel, go ahead and prune this Angelonia right here. This is the perfectly pink. This was the first planting, and then I planted behind me second, and so this is, it's getting a little tall. Like I said, Jerry and I are going to be out of town off and on for the next couple of weeks with some business stuff. So I'm like, this is the perfect time to go ahead and prune them. And plus, I have some new additions here in the garden. I have 3 hand-blown glass art from the One-Eared Cow Gallery in Columbia, South Carolina. And the Angelonias are getting a little too tall, and so you can't see them quite as well. But what's so fun about these globes is that they are on poles, and they are actually lights. They have light bulbs in them. So they are hooked into our landscape lighting. So when the landscape lighting turns on, these guys glow, and they are gorgeous in the evening. I mean, stunning. And especially the little round ball here on the end is getting swallowed up. So this is a great time to go ahead and let's prune them back, right? Because too, like we always talked about, you get those storms and the wind, and they're so tall, it kind of flips them over. And you can already see the new growth right here that's popping up. So I can take off those blooms, and they'll just get nice and thick, and then my yard art will be nice and pretty and can shine literally at night, and you can see it in all of its glory much better. The lavender, she got a good strong haircut, my friends, and so it would be a great time to go ahead and fertilize. I just don't have any plant tone with me. I would use plant tone on the lavender, but you can see that, yeah, for some reason this side of the plant is, and it wasn't all dead. I had some green growth down here in the bottom. So this would be a good opportunity to go ahead and let's prune it, and then we'll see if we get, you know, a flush coming back out right here. You know what, y'all, it's gardening, and perennials, technically the term for a perennial is that a plant that lives 2 or more years. So she has lived definitely for 2 years. I just think, you know, it is what it is. Who knows why? And so we're gonna move on. You got messes and successes all the time. As always, we hope you have found this fun, informative, and inspirational. Don't be afraid to get out there in your garden. Just be smart. Watch out for the bugs, because this is the time, as Jerry says, everything's out to kill us. So watch out for those fire ants and those wasps and whatever all those other little critters are. Be smart. Stay hydrated. Stay hydrated. You need your water, people. And yeah, we'll see y'all in the next video. Thanks, y'all. Bye.